And I think that drive really pushed me to say, I don't know that I want to work at a corporation anymore. So one day I just quit my job.
That's Sarah Habib, product manager turned founder of the Caterpillar and Mission to Move.
If I look back at my career, without a doubt, doing what I do today is the most fulfilling thing I have ever done. The Caterpillar seeks to give kids tools to handle big feelings. And we do that through mindfulness.
So, Sarah, you were saying that you got into Barnes & Noble recently.
It was awesome. It was our first national partner. It was our first chance to be in physical retail in a really meaningful way. It was also really scary.
I'll be very honest with you. 15 years ago when we first met, I would have been like definitely VP director at some tech company.
Not everybody has to be in corporate America. Not everybody has to know what their next job is. And that's okay. And for me, I knew I needed the path that I'm on, where honestly, I kind of fell into this. And I'm so lucky to be doing truly what is the best job.
Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
This is going to be a lot of fun. And by the way, to start, I love the backdrop with all of the calm Caterpillar accessories.
Yeah, that's a retail display unit. I don't know if you remember that from your Nielsen days. That's a retail display unit, sometimes featured at an end cap.
That is so cool. Well, always showing off the wares and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And glad to hear that you're still using that Nielsen knowledge.
It pays off in surprising ways.
I could imagine. It's funny, actually. I feel like Nielsen somehow, maybe not somehow, because actually I look back at my time at Nielsen and I very fondly.
Oh yeah.
The program. So maybe very first primer here. Sarah, we actually met originally at Nielsen in what was called the Emerging Leaders Program.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of rotational program. You went through different parts of Nielsen. And I don't think I understood at the time, like how awesome of a program that was. And
it was amazing. I lived in New York for the first year, 6 months in Chicago, and then back to New York. I look back at that and think it was like an extension of college.
100%. An extension of college. Took you everywhere, and everyone was really smart. I've looked at people where they've gone since then, and it's like, you've started a business. There's like a number of people that have been entrepreneurs. There are people directors of companies like TikTok and other places. And I'm like, wow, I should have known while I was there. But I'm like, no, everyone was really, really talented. But
agreed. It was a great place to start a career.
100%. Well, you included, obviously. So you're one of these people that have done amazing things. And why I thought it'd be so much fun to chat with you. I think you've got a really interesting one. You just do really interesting things right now in terms of a company that focuses on helping kids manage their stress and emotions and also challenges, things like autism. Really cool mission. And at the same time, you started in big tech, right? You started your career at working on, what was the title that you mentioned before we were on air at TIBCO?
I was the product manager for TIBCO Spotfire for Amazon Web Services.
That is incredible. That is that I will admit, that sounds like the most tech, tech title that can possibly exist.
In 2014, I was one of the only women at an AWS reInvent conference in London. I remember it fondly.
Oh my gosh.
My life looks very different now.
Yeah, I can imagine. That was it like that moment when you're like, okay, I don't know if this is for me.
Definitely the start of it.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah.
But it's a super cool career. So again, you worked in big tech and again, very technical career. And then you've transitioned over to something a lot more mission oriented, helping children. So, how would we dive right into it?
Yeah.
Sarah Habib, what is the best job you've ever had?
It's definitely the one I have right now. If I look back at my career, without a doubt, doing what I do today is the most fulfilling thing I have ever done. The Caterpillar seeks to give kids tools to handle big feelings. And we do that through mindfulness. And when I think about my work and how it's centered on the needs of kids and how it really started in schools, I see the difference we make. We do good while also being a business and making money. And that for me is truly fulfilling.
That is so cool. I think that is, by the way, the dream for a lot of people. It's like, how can you do good yet actually turn it into a business? So, okay. So tell me a little bit, like, take me to the beginning, right? Because again, you were the product manager for Spotfire for AWS. And then somehow you transitioned into your own nonprofit. Like what happened?
Yeah. So I was working long hours as the product manager for Spotfire for Amazon Web Services. I was one of the only women on the team. I was well respected. People treated me well, but I just looked around and I was like, is that what I'm going to be in 10, 12 years? Like, I don't know that this is for me. I think my entire life I had been taught and thought of like, I'm going to work in a corporation. Like, that was like what I was supposed to do. And I think I had a realization that I didn't want to be somebody who works in a corporation. I, since a very long time ago, I always started businesses for fun. Even I think I was in third grade, I started my very first business. We lived in front of a cemetery. And at the cemetery behind our house, there were always flowers on the gravestones. And I was 8, so keep this in mind. But I would collect the flowers and then resell them to my neighbors. Eventually, somebody caught on and told my mom. But I always say that's my origin story. Like, I always found a business somewhere and I wanted to be working for myself. And I think that drive really pushed me to say, I don't know that I want to work at a corporation anymore. So one day I just quit my job. And I was like, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was really scared. I was living in San Francisco. And the one thing I knew how to do was to coach girls basketball. And so I started coaching a third grade girls basketball team in the Mission in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from where I lived. And it was the best. It gave me purpose when I didn't have any. My friends will tell you that like I would spend my days walking and meditating and just trying to figure out like where I was going in my life. And that basketball team is really what is why I do what I do today. And I think about those girls often because they are in high school now. And that really scares me. But working with those kids gave me a purpose of, I have a skill. I knew how to like move my body. I knew how to practice mindfulness. And those kids didn't have that skill. And when we think about what sort of skills you need to function in today's world, academics, one thing. AI is going to change all of that. You really need executive function skills. You need to know how to regulate your emotions. You need to know how to present yourself. You need to know how to function in the world. And a lot of those kids didn't have that. So the next year, I still didn't know what I was doing with my life. I coached another girls basketball team at a different school in Marin. And it went so well that the assistant principal, who was somebody I went to college with, was like, why don't you do this program you're kind of doing with these girls, which is really focusing on neural movements and mindfulness in the school. And so if she had not given me that chance, yet again, I would not be doing what I'm doing. So at this school in Marin, I implemented a program. I had never worked in a school before. I had never written curriculum before. To be honest, like I really had no business doing it, but they saw the outcome I had with the girls and they were like, let's try it. And I really appreciated the chance they took on me. And that was a really successful year. And that was really the beginning of a program called Mission to Move, which still does exist today. And I realized that if I wanted to grow Mission to Move, and I think I've always been mission driven, but didn't understand how it would fulfill me in my work, that I was going to have to move back to Cincinnati. What's funny about that is I had lived in Cincinnati just for a little bit. And then I left to go to college and have my tech career. And my parents were still living here. And it was an opportunity for me to meet some people in a very large public school district, Cincinnati Public Schools, which is Title I. And so I took a chance. I moved back to Cincinnati. And what started out in one school in Cincinnati now is in 134 classrooms in CPS across 34 schools, as well as been in 4 or 5 other districts here, and is the supplementary SEL curriculum, which stands for social emotional learning for Cincinnati Public Schools preschool. And so I'm really proud of that. Like literally, I did not come from this education background. And we built a curriculum and a program that is easily repeatable, has an evidence base, has been studied by the University of Cincinnati and the University of Illinois. And it shows that when kids have this program in their class, they have a 19 times growth rate on a pro social skills based off of the DECA, which is the gold standard of how we evaluate preschool students. So when I tell you, like, it just wasn't an idea, like it actually worked and it actually improved kids' lives. And it still exists today. I am marginally involved in it. I have a team of 4 people that still go into CPS every single day, and they teach this program to kids. And we're really glad it's still doing its thing.
That is amazing. Whenever, first of all, it's really scary, right? To quit your job and not have anything, especially in a place like San Francisco. Like that is yes, there are a bunch of people with big ideas, but it's an expensive city. It is a competitive city in a lot of ways. But to be able, given that opportunity, right, kind of out of, well, to your point, you saw a little bit of opportunity with the girls basketball team, but then to be able to grow that into something is really powerful. So for a second though, talk to me about actually creating the curriculum. So you hadn't done this. Like,
no.
What motivated you? How did you do it?
So I spent a lot of time in San Francisco doing this thing called Z Health. Like, I was really impressed by it. It's like a neural approach to movement. And it really helps. If you think about like the brain, neural pathways, when we sit and kids sit a lot in school, it changes the way our brain thinks that our neural pathways are supposed to move, right? There are different drills that we can do, whether it's like a hip circle, arm circles, all these different sort of really basic movements, by the way, that help your brain understand how your body moves in space, right? Increases your proprioception. A lot of kids lack proprioception, and there's a big tie between something called sensory mismatch, meaning like if you lack proprioception compared to like say your vestibular system, it can present itself like as ADD and all sorts of issues that I was learning about just because I was genuinely curious. And then I had these kids that I was working with and I was like, oh my gosh, there's this wild connection. This thing that I'm doing that mostly deals with adults, by the way, and doesn't work with kids has this amazing implication with the kids that I'm working with in this basketball team. The second basketball team I was working with, they were middle school students, 6th and 7th graders. And you know what? They had a lot of small problems and a lot of big problems. And by small problems, I mean typical emotional teenage drama they were dealing with. And it's really hard to be a teen. And by the way, these kids were also in a economically disadvantaged area. So they had a lot of small problems and a lot of big problems. And I was just trying to be a friend, be a mentor. And if we could learn to do mindfulness and movement, which are 2 skills that you have with you for life that don't cost anything, right? And I always go back to that. And one of our sayings in Mission to Move is, I have the power to change the way I feel with my hands and my breath. And we talk about like, no matter where you are, whether you're in the lunchroom, in the classroom, you're at home, you're in a shelter, you have those things with you. So you have the power to change the way you feel. Because if you're not thinking about it from that perspective, it's not going to get you very far. I really wasn't exposed to the concept of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, until I moved back to Cincinnati. And if you think about all of the work we do, it really is in the lens of adverse childhood experiences. There was a really big study out of Kaiser Permanente, and it showed that people who have an ACE score of 3 or higher, it equates to 10 years off of their life. An ACE can be living with an abusive parent, home insecurity, food insecurity, living with a smoker, living with an alcoholic, right? Incarcerated parent. Those are examples of ACEs. And if we recognize that a child who has a high ACE score probably lives in something close to cortisol bath, right? Meaning their stress is so high, they have so much cortisol pumping in their body, that what's one of the best ways to give a kid like that a lifeline to changing how they feel? It truly is mindfulness. 1, mindfulness tells their vagus nerve to stop producing cortisol. If we teach it to them when they're 3, they have it for the rest of their lives. And it's free, right? If you think about that child's ability to access resources, I want their toolkit to be things that they have with no money required. And that really was like the beginning of what we were doing. And like, that is why Mission to Move exists. That's why it still exists today. And it's really equipping kids with skills that they will have for life. And just think about being a 15-year-old kid, a 12-year-old girl. Those are really hard times. If you learned mindfulness when you were 3 and then you practiced it all the time in school, and then by the time you're 12, you're dealing with some of the teenage things, you have a whole new skill set, a whole new set of tools that previous generations didn't have. And so I truly do believe that like mindfulness, while not a cure-all, is such an important tool in every kid's toolbox, whether they come from a high A score, low A score, socioeconomically disadvantaged, or like one that's not background, because everybody needs this skill and it's free.
I couldn't agree more, by the way. First of all, I am like such a strong proponent and a believer, but you don't even have to be a believer. To your point, the data shows it, that movement and like how your body feels is so important to how you, one, just your mood, your general wellness, but also like how you think, how you perform during the day. I know that there were jobs where I was like glued to my desk, and not only did that feel good, I am like 100% sure I was not performing at my best. Like there is just no way.
There used to be this phrase called like sitting is the new smoking. I think now cell phones is the new smoking, like smartphones are, but I'll go with both, right? Like, so I do think sitting really is detrimental. Not only do you do it a lot in corporate America, you do it a lot in schools.
Yeah, no, 100%. And to your point, so one, I love that part of it, the movement side of it, but to your point about mindfulness, I mean, I found mindfulness way later in my life. I was, in my late 20s, and it was whenever like things like Headspace and Calm were starting to get big. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, and I started doing yoga. Also, like I had a girlfriend in years past, and she like loved doing yoga, and like didn't understand it. I was like, no way, this stuff can't be that great. Then I started doing it, and I'm like, oh no, you like feel so good.
Like, yeah, no, and you have to find what works for you, right? And that's why it's like the curriculum we designed for Mission to Move really incorporated like 100 different movement activities that all could be done in a classroom, no equipment, minimal space, and it would require very low barrier for the teacher. A lot of the things we learned were teachers needed things that didn't require equipment, didn't take a lot of time, preferably didn't take a screen. And this is why. One, I'm anti-screens to begin with, but kids learn best when somebody models behavior. When a lot of teachers put on these movement videos, like on one hand, it's great because some movement's better than no movement, but they don't model it because they let the video do the modeling. So we always took the approach that we weren't going to do a video because we wanted the teacher to do it. So our staff goes in, trains the teachers how to do it, provides the curriculum, and then also comes in and runs it once a week. But the whole point is that the teacher can begin to do it, because do you know who else the movement is good for?
The teacher.
The teacher, right. And so that's where it's like, how do you get everybody to be doing it? And so that's really why we designed it the way we did. It was very intentional. It's all about elevating your heart rate in a quick amount of time, say literally 5 minutes. And then our breathing techniques take less than 60 seconds compared with that. So we always talk about like dosage. Motor learning theory model tells us we need 1,000 repetitions for something to become cognitive. I talk about this a lot. All of these fixes to improve classroom behavior do not happen overnight. You try this stuff once, you think your kids are magically going to have like a new outlook? No, right? This is like a 60, 90 day situation. And our curriculum really was designed for teachers to be able to do it on their own, to do it in between like morning meeting, recess, lunch, right? All these little micro breaks in order to increase the dosage to hit that 1,000th rep of practicing these skills.
I love that. And to your point, yes, you probably make it ingrained in them, right? It's something that has come to naturally. It's actually very cute. So not probably Mission to Move. It's clearly something similar concept. My wife's nephew, it's very cute. Every once in a while, it'll be like, he'll, gosh, what is, I can't remember the exact words, but it'll be like, all right, be calm now. And he'll like kind of put his hands together in a very like Zen way. And I think to myself, like, this is like, again, practicing those kind of things, like these kids are going to be so much better at regulating their emotions than most of us were, I suspect, whenever they come of age.
Yeah, I have a 4.5-year-old. She regulates emotions better than some adults I know. And it is a new thing. So yeah, I'm really excited for this new generation.
Yeah, that is amazing. Okay, you're doing good work here, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, so two questions about the business, because I think two things I was thinking about there. One, Mission to Move is a nonprofit, right? Is that
it is? And
correct?
Mission to Move and Comcat, we didn't even talk about like why Caterpillar exists yet. They're very separate. Mission to Move is a 501c3, and it only serves schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that important to you to make it a nonprofit?
Yeah, for sure. I've never taken a salary from Mission to Move. We use all of the money to pay the staff that goes into the schools and runs the program. And that it is a pure programmatic piece. We don't charge anyone for the curriculum. They want the curriculum, they can have it. If they need the staff to come in and help run the program weekly in the training, we have to charge for that because we have staff going in to do it. It really wasn't the only way to run a company like that.
That's really cool. I think that it's interesting to your point. Obviously, it allows it to be super mission aligned. It allows the product to get to as many school districts as I'm sure you can. But then you also, to your point, you kind of alluded to Caterpillar. You also have a business that is more geared towards parents, correct?
Yeah. So again, everything in my life has built on top of each other. Like without being the project manager for TIPCO Spotfire for AWS, I would not have done Mission to Move. Without Mission to Move, I wouldn't be doing Caterpillar, which is the best job of my life. During COVID, Mission to Move is providing its program virtually to 2,200 kids every week. We were in people's homes, and it sounds like this terrible, stupid awakening where people are like, oh shit, like maybe this isn't like working the way we thought it was, but it really was that. I hate to say it. We were seeing things that we were surprised to be seeing. We were seeing that parents needed these skills just as much as the kids. And so after COVID, that first year, that next January, because my number one partner in all of my work has been Cincinnati Public Schools, and I owe them a great deal in the sense that they have always trusted me to do new and innovative things. I approached them and I said, let's send Corner kits home to all of your students. This has not really been done before. And in 2022, we sent home 2,200 Corner bags to all of the preschool students in Cincinnati Public. We then started texting the parents twice a week. And we would text them ideas on how to integrate mindfulness into their home life. We were getting an 86% response rate because we would ask them questions, they would have to respond back. Average response rate in schools is 50%. And so we were like, wow, we're really onto something. That first Corner kit, by the way, it had a meditation cushion, it had a hand breathing poster, it had a parent book, and a plastic breathing ball. And that was it. And it was this amazing thing where we were like, oh my gosh, can we replicate the Corner that's in a classroom and replicate it at home? Because consistency is key for kids. And if you can have the same sort of environment at home and at school as a safe place to manage big feelings, you're going to see an improvement in kids' behavior. It's important for me to explain what a Corner is because not everyone here knows what a Corner is. It's a cozy space that is safe for kids to express big feelings, wait out their big feelings, practice a breathing technique, or take a break. And what's not a Corner? A Corner is not punitive. It is not a timeout place. It's not a place you can be sent to. That's when it loses its magic. A Corner is a place a child elects to go to. They can never be sent there. Almost all classrooms in preschool through 3rd, 4th grade have a Corner across America. It's pretty common that they have one. And so we really wanted to replicate what was going on in the classroom for home life, for caregivers, because we wanted parents and caregivers and grandparents to begin to see how the school was responding to these big feelings so we could maybe teach those parents. Dr. Becky, I don't know if you know who Dr. Becky is. She says this all the time. Like, you become a parent, like, where's the training manual? Like, to drive a car, you need to get a license. Like, we are not educating parents. And so we found this in our work with these Corner kids. Like, parents needed help. Of course they did. They're not. Who taught them about Corners? They might not even know this is happening in their kid's classroom. So we wanted to equip parents with the skills to manage their child's big feelings because they needed to know how to respond to them and how to use the calm corner. And this question is how I start every presentation I give with any sort of education crowd. I need you to calm down right now, Alex. How does that make you feel? If somebody says to you, I need you to calm down.
It's not the best way to start.
Right? It actually raises your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Yet parents and educators say it all the time. And so what we talk about is how can you model behavior and create the environment, meaning a calm corner, so you never say that again. Because asking a kid to calm down makes them feel just as bad as it does to us as an adult. And so that really is one of the lenses we use with these spaces and how we're trying to educate parents. So that really was the beginning of Calm Caterpillar. Mission to Move gave us this view into homes. We created a separate company and we really went for it. Again, Cincinnati Public Schools was this incredible partner. We've been doing Calm Corner kits for their entire preschool community for 4 years now. They look really different. We change them every year, but it's amazing. And, we came up with the name, the Calm Caterpillar, like one night in this exact office, and we didn't have any soft plush yet. We didn't have a caterpillar. We knew we were going to go there, but we hadn't done it yet. So we started with these Calm Corner kits. And then I would say 8 months later, we launched our very first weighted soft plush, which was Call Me the Caterpillar.
Oh, we see Call Me, amazing.
Yeah, Call Me is lightly weighted around your neck. But what we really wanted to do was make a cozy breathing ball. So Call Me is actually patent pending because he has an inner elastic core and you can stretch and expand him. And so he literally models a plastic breathing ball, and it's a great way to teach kids how to take a deep breath. Kids need something that they can feel. Breathing is a really nebulous concept, right? What is a breath? How do you take one? So when you teach kids to take a big deep breath in and pull out Call Me, and then exhale as he comes into himself, it really helped kids. Also, he's just cozy and cute, and kids love to cuddle him. So, we started with Call Me, and then we rolled out, now we have 5 soft plush, 3 different breathing tools, and lots of books. And we're even in Barnes & Noble nationwide. So we really have grown from what we started out with Cincinnati Public Schools.
Incredible. First of all, shout out Cincinnati Public Schools. This is amazing. Their investment in the social emotional learning of the people in the school system. But okay, 2 things that hit me from what you just said, by the way. As a soon-to-be parent, could not agree with you more that there is seemingly no instruction manual.
Yeah.
Gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. But at the same time, it does seem like there's a lot of things that are research backed. We know stuff, and it is not that easy to get that education as a parent. So incredible what you're doing there. The second thing, by the way, in 86, whenever you said you were texting the parents, I was like, oh, no way, I'm like, what? Like, no way. And you're like 86% response rate. That is incredible. The engagement there. Okay, really fast logistics question though. Were people responding back? Like, what, or was it just like data capture?
The very first time we did this, I literally had to physically man the text bot. Like, I responded, like they didn't get responses right away because like obviously it wasn't like at my desk waiting for people to respond. But we use this platform. I think it was Simple Text Me at the time. And I would send these texts, like we wrote out a curriculum of 36 weeks worth of texts. And then I would ask questions, they would respond back, and I would respond. And so I did that all manually the very first time. Now it is powered by AI. And so we have like, you ask a question and it can answer it for you. We fed it like all of our curriculum, all of our ideas, a big set of common questions that we get and the correct answers for them. But I no longer man it myself, but I was manning it individually.
That is, again, incredible. It actually, funny enough, is a reminder to me of, gosh, I'm going to forget who said this. I think it was one of the people from Y Combinator, but I could be messing it up. And the phrase was, oftentimes in startups, you need to do things that don't scale.
Yeah.
Then you figure out how to scale it, right? But it's interesting to see that even in a business like again, like building curriculum for schools, and again, SEL plush toys for kids, that same concept can come up, right? And it's like you were doing these hard things. And by the way, super credit to you, because that is gritty. That's like super gritty to be building that. Again, you built this from scratch, and then you figure out I'm going to text like what must have been thousands of parents, and figuring out that like, you're like, no, I'm just going to man the chatbot. Like that is like how much I believe in making this thing work.
Yeah, I actually used to go to the schools that we were working with and stand outside during drop off when the kids would go home. And I would personally chat with all the parents because I wanted to hype them up. I wanted to be like, you have no idea what you're about to take home. This is going to change your life. And I really felt like everyone needed that cheerleader moment to be so excited about opening the box. We would send home these like really beautiful boxes. They could open them up and all this stuff was brand new inside. And the kids were so excited to take it home. I don't get to do that as much anymore, but I really do look back fondly on like standing outside some of these schools. Frederick Douglass Elementary, it's an elementary school here. I would stand out there, we would pass out the bags. And it was this amazing opportunity to connect with parents and also really hear what they needed, right? And then I would like come back a few weeks later and just hang out during drop off and like ask about the texts that we're sending. And that was like one of the ways you talk about like user feedback, user testing, like that's how we did it. Like I stood outside of school we were working at, I have a CPS badge. So thankfully nobody was like, who's that lady? And it really gave me the opportunity to hear directly from parents about what was working and what wasn't.
The marketer in me is going like, this is the best, to your point, market research and user feedback you can possibly get. And again, it's like one of those moments where any startup is hard. I want a quick preface with any startup is hard. There are a million reasons they don't work. At the same time, if you believe in it that much and you're willing to do those kind of things, like stand outside of a school and like talk to parents, do the like one-to-one marketing that it takes often to get your first 1,000 customers, right? Like that is pretty incredible. And that is like one of the reasons people succeed, in my opinion. Like if you're going to like go into it halfway, like there's no way, right? If you don't believe in it, it's so hard for someone else to also grab that energy and believe in it.
100%. I'm in the business of feelings. So I talk about this feeling a lot, shame. I always say you can have no shame in this job because I have to be willing to talk to anyone about anything at any time. And if I had any shame, I don't think I would be able to do this anymore.
Okay, so quick question then. What's been scary? Like, I know it was scary to quit your job. Like, has it been hard? Like, I'm going to assume it has been hard in many moments.
Hard. There are weeks where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I love this, but what am I doing? So tariffs have been really hard for us. It really scared me. Like, I didn't think, I was like naive. I was like, oh no, this is not going to affect me. Like, what's happening? And then it really affected us. And tariffs have been really hard. We had our first big order for Barnes & Noble last year. And then, we were really starting to scale up. And then that means you're ordering a lot more. And a 40% tariff is wild when you're a small company. We don't get the same scale that other companies, like, when Mattel, Hasbro, Disney produce in China, they're producing at a rate that's, we're 4-5x what they're producing at, right? In terms of cost for us. So that tariff really hurts. So that was really scary. I also think the fact that now we rely on consumers as well is scary. I think dealing with customer messages can be really scary. Like I managed
like coming to you, like they'll message you, like email you or something.
It's just like, for a while I used to do the customer like success, if you will, right? Like if somebody has a return, they have an issue, like I would respond to all of those personally. And it's like, oh, wow, like this person's not being kind. I don't know what to do. We have like a strict no refunds policy on our website for any of like our soft plush goods. Like we state it clearly. And then, I have people calling me nasty names. So that's an example where it's like, this is scary. I didn't know when I'd be starting this business, I'd be spending so much time on this. The other is like continuing to invest in myself in the sense that like Caterpillar has not taken on really outside funding yet. And that's scary because I made the choice to say, like, I'm going to bet on myself. And that's the choice I've made.
Yeah. Yeah. Bootstrapping a business like that is hard. Although I do think underappreciated. Like I have an opinion. We both lived in San Francisco for a while. I've seen plenty of venture capital backed companies grow and be successful, and it looks fun. At the same time, I do think there's a bunch of magic with like having a business that just kind of works. like having like real unit economics where you're like, oh no, I can like sell this for a price that allows me to make money. So anyways, I think that is, so again, kudos to you on making that decision, because that is hard, yet in my opinion, underappreciated, and probably is helping you be successful for the long term. All right, Sarah, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we can talk about some of the exciting moments that have happened with the Comp Caterpillar.
Crossroads.
So, Sarah, you were saying that you got into Barnes & Noble recently. How did that happen? That is, by the way, incredible. Like, congratulations. Any good stories there about either getting it or what happened afterwards?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind for sure. Somebody who worked at the Comp Caterpillar, he, cold emailed the buyer at Barnes & Noble for toys and convinced her to take on Call Me the Caterpillar. And it was awesome. It was our first national partner. It was our first chance to be in physical retail in a really meaningful way. It was also really scary because we had never placed orders that had requirements about Master Gardens, requirements about individual packaging, like the eaches inside the Master Gardens, and had never had done any of this sort of work that was required. I was talking about being outside of your comfort zone. I did not understand half the words being used. And so when I think back at that moment, one, I feel like I've learned a lot. I can talk to you about Master Gardens, SKUs, labels, anything you need on this packaging. Also, how pallets are constructed. So, we had all of these, we had 15,000 individual units of Call Me inside Master Gardens, but they weren't palletized by our manufacturer in China. And they show up to our warehouse in a huge semi-trailer, one whole semi, just free floating in there. So then our warehouse has to palletize them to certain specific standards that Barnes & Noble has. I mean, it's so funny. Like, you get the PO from Barnes & Noble and you're like on this huge high, and then you get this mountain of paperwork, and then you're on a huge low because you're like, oh my God, I've never done this before. I'm going to do it. And so it was like the biggest learning. And it's really changed how we approach other national retailers now.
I can only imagine the sight of a semi pulling up with thousands of 15,000, you said 15,000 plush toys. And you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
Definitely an oh shit moment.
That is incredible though. I think though, to your point, it would probably surprise people the way, how specific, right, these retailers are. And they have a lot of power. Let's be honest. They have a bunch of stores. They are a huge distribution channel. So I feel like if you're going to work with them, you often have to play ball. You have to play by their rules.
100%. Like, we don't have negotiating power. Like, they set the percent they take. And so, yeah, we are a very small fish in a very big pond when it comes to large national retailers. But again, we've learned so much from it, and it really has helped us shape our strategy going forward.
Right. So I'm curious, are you pursuing more? So a lot of your sales are online, right? So you've got, gosh, what is it? Thecalmcaterpillar.com. Am I going to mess that up?
Yeah. No, thecalmcaterpillar.com. We're also on Amazon. Honestly, our Instagram drives so much of our website traffic. We used to run ads. I know you used to work at Meta. We used to run ads a long time ago. We spent a lot of money on ads, but we haven't run ads in a year, and we're way more successful. And I don't know if we should be like a test case, but by pausing our ads and really using our organic content to drive sales and really change our content strategy on social, we've really seen a change in how people purchase our products on Instagram.
Really? So is it so primarily just like great content on Instagram, trying to get organic traction, seeing people click through the website and buy?
Yeah, we have great content. I don't make it personally. So when I say that, Catherine, our social media manager, she makes great content, like amazing content. And I think it really resonates with parents because this goes back to how are parents being educated? Dr. Becky says it best. Like parents are looking for this and we're trying to fill that need.
Right. And it's almost more community building, it sounds like, in that way. Then to your point, advertising can often feel pretty salesy. So having a more, I don't know, connected, authentic way to get your message out there. Amazing. And by the way, organic, again, to your point, I worked at Meta. So I thought about ads and marketing a lot. If you can have organic reach via things like Instagram, the magic of that too is, again, you're not paying for it. So those are things that you can build and continue to use. Whereas like ads, you're paying, it's $1 in, $1. It's $1 in for a couple dollars out. And that's the only way you can go scale it.
And by the way, that brings us both back to our Nielsen days, because when I'm talking about reach and I'm talking about organic, it really does bring me back to Nielsen.
Absolutely. So, okay, that's actually I'd love just a couple last things and we'll end with some advice. So as you just mentioned, there's obviously some terminology and ways of thinking that you took from Nielsen. Is there anything you feel like very grateful for from your Nielsen days or your Tipco days that you feel like it made you more successful?
Is the people I met. I think I made a lot of great friends at work. I mean, that Nielsen ELA program, wow. Like that really was a time. And I'm sure I gained some hard skills, but it was definitely the soft skills. And I really appreciated that for it. From Tipco, I think I'm really grateful. It showed me that that wasn't where I wanted to be in 20 years and I should do something else. And so I'm really grateful for both of those experiences.
Honestly, figuring out what you don't want to do and being pushed to that is very beneficial, because there's a world, right, where if it wasn't something that you really did not want, you could still be working in some type of corporate thing that's good enough, but clearly is not giving you the passion that you have for the Calm Caterpillar and Mission to Move.
Alex, I don't know if this will make you laugh. It'll make anybody who is a Nielsen person laugh. So, I mean, growing up, my dad always talked about, this is how you get your next job. What job do you have today? What gaps or skills are you missing? And how do you get the next one? And so I grew up in an environment where that was being taught to me probably when I started my flower reselling business. And so when I was in all these corporate worlds, I just kept thinking like that. And I had that mindset. And I guess, finally also saying to myself, it's okay that I don't do this was really like what Tipco taught me. Like, not everybody has to be in corporate America. Not everybody has to know what their next job is. And that's okay. And for some people, that is great. And for me, I knew I needed the path that I'm on, where honestly, I kind of fell into this. And I'm so lucky to be doing truly what is the best job.
So true. By the way, that is hilarious. I have filled out a form that says the next job that I want and what skills I have to do. Anyways, your dad is an icon. But your dad, but for the record, Sarah's dad also worked at Nielsen. He was an executive there. But you hit on something I think is really important. And I've actually been reading a book by Susie Welch. I don't know if you know Susie Welch, but she's actually was Jack Welch's wife, but she's also a professor at New York NYU. And she studies things like values and fulfillment. And she has a really successful class called Becoming You. And one of the things she talks about actually is that one of the reasons people often don't follow their dreams or like kind of achieve the things that probably fit them better is expectations. And one of she calls it horsemen, is like parental expectations. It's things like and it's not even like, but there has to sometimes be a moment where you go, wait, you have to be able to kind of get away from like, is it okay that I do this? Because to your point, I actually had my own expectations of myself being like, oh, I thought I always had to be a corporate leader. And one day I was kind of like, is that really what I need? Like, is that really filling me up? But I had a story that I was telling myself, and I told myself for decades about that being the way to success.
No, I agree with that. I mean, for myself, it was personal. I mean, yes, I grew up in an environment where that was discussed often. So I learned through osmosis, but my parents have been super supportive of this, which I greatly appreciate. But I definitely, it was something inside myself I had to let go and said, like, I'm not going to be the CEO of a corporation.
That's so cool. Well, you are the CEO of a corporation,
I know,
just not like a
just not in that
public,
sense.
just like not like a 100,000 person corporation.
Yeah,
But, you know, who knows?
I mean, maybe
Who knows?
we'll be there. You never know.
Exactly. You know, everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. How about we take one more little break and we can end with some advice?
Okay.
A message to a future traveler.
Sarah, what's one piece of advice that you would give to people looking for their best job?
That's a really hard question. I think you would ask yourself what you want to do every day, because work is a 4-letter word and you have to show up to a job, generally speaking, Monday through Friday, generally speaking, 9 to 5-ish. And do you want to be there? And if you don't, can you find something where you want to be there? And I think so many people struggle to answer that question. But when you find it, like, don't let it go. Fight to keep that.
I love that. You got to find the thing you want to go do, and put in the work, right? Put in the work, and then also give yourself the space. Maybe that's actually a better one to leave with. Because I think, again, you were able to give yourself the space by ultimately taking some time off and being able to find this awesome path for yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No. Sarah, this has been so much fun. Like,
Agreed.
truly, you're like, the energy you have for what you do is absolutely infectious. So I get why when you were standing outside of the Cincinnati public schools and talking to parents, they must have been like, oh yeah, get me a Call Me, or get me, probably at that point, get me a Calm Corner kit, right?
Yeah.
And I can see why people believe in what you're doing, and so fun. It's so fun to see, because I'll be very honest with you. I would have said, if I had thought I was going to do this interview with you 15 years ago when we first met, which is crazy to say, but 15 years ago when we first met, I would have been like, definitely like VP director at some tech company. So this is amazing. But honestly, super refreshing to see that you found this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I would have said the same thing for myself. So I'm glad we were both wrong.
All right. So last thing, where can people find Mission to Move and the Calm Caterpillar?
Sure. Calm Caterpillar, we're thecalmcaterpillar.com. You can also find us on Amazon or Instagram at The Calm Caterpillar, and Mission to Move at missiontomove.org.
Amazing. I will absolutely link to all of those, link to all those spots down below in the show notes. But Sarah, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. And yeah, thanks for talking to me.
It was awesome. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, send it to a friend and give us a follow. We're looking forward to making more of the best job I've ever had.
All right. Were there any funny moments whenever you were teaching the kids?
Oh, yeah. I was doing breakfast morning meditation at this one school for a few weeks in the auditorium, just like as a pilot. And we would be doing hand breathing every day for like 3 days in a row. And I was using a microphone and you could hear. And on the 4th finger, this kid goes, "It sounds like you're having sex." And I literally turned white, and like nothing embarrasses me. Like my friends will tell you, nothing embarrasses me. I was never more embarrassed than in that moment in my life. And today I would have been able to keep going. This was like 10 years ago. Back then I literally froze.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Kids will always shock you. Kids will always shock you.
They really will.